Hey, what's up, guys? So, this is the fire one, obviously, by the thumbnail and the title. If you're new here, this is the third video I'm doing in this series. You can find the other ones on my channel for the other elements. I'm basically just doing 3 tier lists, breaking down all the units in the game, and I'm doing every video by element, as you can tell here. I will say fire was probably the most, actually it wasn't probably, it was the most difficult one that I've had to do so far. Across both my accounts, I have every fire unit in the game, but the tier maker that I'm using right now is missing a lot of fire units. It's missing 6 of them. Actually, I don't remember seeing Litica on there either, now that I think about it. I would have to go double check. Fuck. This is actually annoying. Like, Researcher Carrot isn't in there. Hatan isn't in there. Kawana isn't in there. Melissa isn't in there. Lilius isn't in there. And I'm pretty sure I didn't see Litica in there either, which is kind of weird. She should be. So. Huh. I guess I'll just talk about those now. And then we'll go on to every other unit while I'm doing the actual tier list. Let's just start from the bottom and go up. Researcher Carrot here. She's cute, but that's about it. I mean, she's kind of a meme burn detonator. You could probably do some fun things with her in PvE. I wouldn't put her S tier. Maybe somewhere between A and B. Just like a fun unit to use. I don't know how she is in morale and raid, or she could be pretty useful in Abyss. But for like consistent hunt farming, like maybe, like she's just an okay unit for doing PvE content. For doing PvP on offense, she's really just a meme. Like if you want to use her, you can, but I don't think she's like great for anything, so I would probably like put her low A, B for offense, and then for defense, I'd probably put her at like B or C because she really doesn't do much for your team. So just knock these out real quick. Hatan, I would put him straight across the board C or D. He's just a subpar 3-star fire DPS guy. Like he's really nothing to talk about. And then Kawana here, she's interesting. Like for PvE, I could actually like her S1 damage is pretty nuts when you pair her with Dust Devil, because she essentially gets a burn proc every single time. And if you're running a full fire team for Golem, I would definitely throw her S. And if you're doing a full fire team for A11, I could probably see her S there too, if not A. I think she'll be pretty good for doing Abyss content. I think she'll do pretty good in raid. I'm not sure how her morale will be, but for PvE content, I definitely rate her high. For offense and PvP, if you need a fire unit and you're not at risk of getting hit by any SSB or Dizzy, I think she's a pretty good pick to be a fire unit in offense because her S1 does so much damage and she brings her own attack buff and has a stun. So, you know, the fire bonus thing aside, and the fact that she doesn't strip immunity before a stun, you can kind of lay that out on the side. She's still decent. I wouldn't put her on the same tier as the units that you're going to see in the tier list, but probably an A in offense. And then for defense, like probably a C for the reasons I just described. She just doesn't do much on defense. So probably a C. She's got really nice base speed though. So you could probably get her pretty quick to go relatively early in a rotation to give your team attack buff and stuff, but maybe C to B for defense. There's just better options. And then going up from her, we have Melissa here. For PvE content, I would probably give her a high A. I don't like maybe S. She does some solid damage, has good nuke potential. She's not on the same level as Sirmia though, so that's why I don't think I should put her next to Sirmia and S for that. But she's okay. For PvP offense, I think she's kind of subpar. She's just squishy. Like, I would like her to be good in offense, but she just kind of isn't. I'd probably put her at a low A, maybe a high B, somewhere in that area. And then on defense, I would probably put her at like a C because she really doesn't offer much in terms of like defense. Maybe in a Guild War situation, you could pair her with like Maid Chloe or something and make her stronger there, but I just don't see her performing very well in PvP on either side. Not in comparison to other things in the game, anyways. And tier lists, we're comparing things, so she kind of falls a little bit short there. Lilius here is the only unit, I think, that makes it S across the board. For obvious reasons. Lilius is sick. Spamming dual attacks. Has a cleanse for any kind of PvE content, for Abyss, Hall of Trials. She's good in... You can use her literally in any hunt if you wanted. You can use her in Raid if you want. I haven't used her in Raid. I don't know how her morale is, but she's definitely gets an S for PvE, in my opinion. PvP offense. She's a knight that increases the damage your team does. So that alone earns an S, despite she has a cleanse and a taunt too that ignores type. And if you burn it, ignores resistance. She's just insane. And then on defense, the same things I just talked about for offense, she does on defense too. So she's the only unit right now that I would put straight triple S. Like, out of fire. So, there's Lilius. And then, like I said, I did not see Lidica in there. So I'll just talk about her real quick. I don't know why she wouldn't be in there. That's weird. She's been out for a while. But for PvE, I would rate her pretty well. She's one of the top tier units for Abyss, so a little honorable mention there. And then that's really it. She's okay in Golem. Doesn't really do much anywhere else. She's pretty good in Raid. If you're just getting into Raid and you have her built, she'll help you get those bosses down because CR manipulation is broken. It makes PvE content a joke. So she definitely helps with early, your first couple kills on Hell Raid and Queen and stuff. She's good for that. And then going into PvP offense, I'd give her maybe a B on a good day. Like if I was being generous, but probably a C. She doesn't do enough damage, and CR manipulation is nice and stuff, but why would you ever use a Lidica over like Sirmia? Or even Chaos Inquisitor. I would never use Lidica over Chaos Inquisitor, and he's a 3-star. So, yeah. And then on defense, I'd probably give her a C or a D, because, I'm going to give her a D for defense, because that's fucking terrible. Maybe if they gave her a special equip that let her strip with her S3 before applying her CR reduction like Wanderer Silk has, then I would bump her up some. But right now, she just doesn't do much. So, unfortunately, I had to talk about so many units in the journal. Like, that doesn't really help with the whole tier list format. But, like I said, the site I'm using, like, it doesn't have all these units on the tier list itself. So, there's 6 units that I won't be talking about in the actual tier list, but you guys got what I think about them there. So, with that being said, let's hop over. Alright, so here is your PvE. Golem, Azumanic, some Wyvern maybe in mind here. Fire, like, Golem's fucking easy. It's probably the easiest hunt in the game. So, it doesn't take as much to get into Golem as it takes to get into Wyvern or Banshee or Azumanic. It's just Golem's just easier. Typically, people are just one-shotting it with Sirmia. Like, just going through the units up here, like, they're just all fire units that do damage to Golem. And then at the end, you have Tamarin and Hazel, who attack buff things. Like, there's really not much to go into this. Talking about Azumanic, though, Sirmia can definitely be set up in a one-shot comp for Azumanic. Soul can be used for Azumanic, probably. I don't see why I wouldn't be able to. Charlotte's probably really good for there, too. Kayron's probably really good for there, too. I don't know about Ravi, but I know Haste can be used to, like, speed clear Wyvern. You can use him to clear that first wave. He can be used to in A11 as well, and then Tamarin can be used in Tamarin can be used in every hunt in the game, and she can be used in every content in the game. She's the best healer in the game for PvE. Period. Same thing with Hazel. Hazel can be used for anything in the game, really, too. But yeah, that's pretty much just going across the board for S here. Like, I don't want to dwell too much on PvE because it's fire units in PvE is Resident Sleeper. So, and then down here you have Bale and Sazan, who's decent in Golem because of the debuffs he brings. He's not very good in any other hunt, though. I mean, he's probably okay in Wyvern if you're progressing through the game. But other than that, I just don't think he's great. He does good damage now because he got his buff, but I do think people are overhyping him because, like, I still think he's just fire, and his debuffs don't do enough in conjunction for, like, they don't disable stuff. So, I don't know. Ideally, when you defense break something, you want to kill it. Like, getting heal block and speed down on top of a defense break really doesn't do anything. So, I don't know. And then you have Tenembria here, who does the same thing. She's got more AoE, so she's probably a little bit more useful than Asma for the bug hunt than Bale and Sazan is. And then Cece is here. She could be a defense breaker for Golem if you want her to. Cirilla's buff, she's probably does pretty decent damage now, to be honest. So she's probably just a pretty solid option. Then Watcher Shuri is just a solid option to do stuff with. You can bring him in a lot of different PvE content. He's just a solid unit, really. And then Surin, same shit, going through Wyvern. Can use her in Golem if you want. And then Acades is actually, like, she's one of the better healers in the game now since her buff. As long as you got, like, Rod of Amaryllis on her. Realistically, I could put Acades in S, but I'm just going to leave her down here in A for PvE because she doesn't bring immunity or anything like Angelica would. But, or an attack buff like Hazel and Tamarindo do. So, yeah, with her, you could basically just spam her S2 on herself, and then every other turn you can use her S3. And then she's invincible every other turn too. She's actually nuts. I'll talk about that a little more, like, when it comes to, like, the PvP side of things. And then coming down to B, it's just other shit. Mercedes can be used in Asthmatic, like, if you're absolutely forced to use her. Dingo is just okay, whatever. Quazu's okay, whatever. Chaos is a cool unit, but he doesn't really do a lot of DPS or anything. He could be used for A11 because he has a Dispel on his S1. Namunis can one-shot Golem. I mean, if you really want to build her for that. Then Carmen Rose is decent DPS for Golem. And then Ras, he's here because he's the homeboy, so he procs a dual attack. And then down here, Rip Corvus. He can probably still tank Wyvern. I haven't attempted it, so sure, whatever. And then, like, Maya here doesn't really, like, you don't need to tank Golem. He hits everybody anyways. Asthmatic, like, you don't need her for that either. If you want a frontline tank Wyvern with F Maya, I guess go ahead. But I don't think she really is useful for PvE. And then down in D, Tieria could probably move up to C, to be honest. I moved her up for C for PvP offense. I don't know why. But she could probably be C here too. Yeah. So now that I think about it, moving over here, I left Judith down here in D for PvP offense. Don't get triggered. It's just like, I'm not one of those Judith fanboys. I probably would move her up to A. I didn't even think about her while I was going through it, to be honest. But I would probably move her up to A just because she's a CR pusher. It's not fair to put Ruzit in A and then put her in D. But, yeah, some people are Judith fanboys, and she's not really around as much now, but I would move her up to A. Just throwing that out here first before I trigger anybody. So obviously in our S tier for offense, this was actually pretty difficult for me because I wanted to put more units up here. Like I originally I had K-Ron up here and I had Ravi up here as well. But I don't think Kayron and Ravi perform to the level that Kin and Sermia do. So I felt like I had to separate them. So I just moved them down to A. Like, you guys know me, like, different, you just have options here in A, but I don't think any of those options compare to the options in S. Unlike green, where everything was comparable and situational, I just think Sermia and Kin is better than, like, all these units in so many different ways. There's no conditional, like, extra damage for immunity or anything. That, like, Kin is just, he brings, like, his vigor and has his own defense break, his own speed buff. Like, he's sick. And then Sermia, her burst is insane. Like, no one down here compares to that. The closest unit I would say is maybe Ravi and Kayron, because you can soul burn Ravi's A1 and do fat damage with it, but that's, like, you have to be pretty far into the fight with that, and, like, you would have to rely on a different unit's defense break to hit, where Kin can just hit his own. And Sermia ignores defense. So I just don't think Ravi is on the level of those two. And then Kayron I could see putting an S, because there are some teams he's very good against that he can kind of, haha, I'm immortal, you can't kill me, and I killed all of you. He can do that. But SSB's, like, around a lot on defense, and Dizzy's around a lot on defense. Well, not as much. It's mainly SSB. And yeah, you can run him with immunity and whatever, and you're not going to bring him into SSB, obviously. I just, like, that's why I put him in the very first slot in A. Because I was like, I want to put him in S, but I just don't think he's not Sermia and he's not Kin, so I don't think he deserves to sit next to him on the bus. So he's, like, in the seat ahead of him on the bus. He's not one of the cool kids, but, like, I don't know, maybe next year of school, when Kin and Sermia graduate and go off to college, then Kayron can get that small back seat in the bus and flex on everybody. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the meta in the future. And then, like, Bale and Tenembria are just defense breakers. They might do okay damage, but who gives a shit? Why would you want your defense breaker to do your damage? You're supposed to set up with your defense breaker. So that's whatever. Charlotte is awesome too. Once you get her going, problem is you got to get her going. And then Haste just needs, like, special equipment or something. Aramantha needs special equipment or something. I would drop them down, but it's not really fair. So I just want to keep all of the decent 5-star DPS here in A. And then Soul, you know, whatever, it's Soul. And Chaos is pretty good. I would move Chaos ahead of a lot of these units, to be honest. And Cirilla's got decent DPS. And then Watcher Shuri with the speed imprint and stuff. CR push. It's mainly used for speed imprint. And then you got Acades and Hazel here. I think Acades is way better than Hazel, unless you absolutely need that attack buff. But Hazel is, like, a really fast, consistent cleanse. She's good for sandwiching another unit if you need 2 fire units or whatever. I've been meaning to build Acades. I think she's really strong right now in the meta. But that's really it. I'm not even going to talk about B, except for maybe, like, Maya is a decent fire bait. And Corvus is a decent fire bait, but he's just not where he used to be, unfortunately. And then, like, everything else is whatever down here. Judith, I could move up to A for CR push, like I said earlier. But other than that, who cares about everything else? Kawazu sucks. Dingo is there for a dispel that no one debuffs, so who cares? And then Surin, like, is a worse Biken that doesn't detonate anything. So, or maybe she does. I don't know. I've never used Surin, but I've never seen Surin. I know she bleeds things, like puts a lot of bleeds on things. She might detonate them. I don't know. I just know she's not getting used in PvP, and I know why, because there's a lot of units that will just dumpster her, because I know she's squishy. And then why would you cleave with Mercedes? Let's just go over here now. So this is just a feels bad, man. This is your PvP defense. I honestly didn't mean for it to end up like a big ass fucking rectangle here, but that's just how it happened. Keep in mind, Lilius would be up here in S if I actually had her in this menu, but I don't. So I couldn't put her up there. I already talked about all those, so I'm not going to go into why Lilius is good. You guys know why Lilius is good. And then honestly, I wanted to put Ken up here too. But Ken is just not where he was a couple months ago. SSB came out and Ken kind of disappeared off defense. He's still good. Kayron is still okay on defense too. Like, I'm seeing more of them around now. Any of these units you can use on defense, I think. Like, if you're doing an RBG comp in Guild War, like red, blue, green, like you could squeeze one of these in there. Watcher Shuri, I think, can be used on arena defense, but maybe Acades can be used on arena defense. I've ran into a couple good ones in Champion. Not any recently, though. And then Thermia is pretty good because she has that damage threat potential, you know? So if you pair her with like a Maid Chloe or something and guarantee that she gets a turn off somehow with some annoying shit on her team next to her, then she's pretty good. And then going down the B, I'll just talk about, like, you guys know why these things are here. Maya, she provokes things, and she has, I don't think she has an AoE defense buff. It might just be for herself. But if it is an AoE defense buff, that's cool. I think she just gives herself a defense buff and taunts everybody. But yeah, these units all up in B, most of them have some kind of CC. Corvus can stun, Charlotte can stun, Tenembria can sleep, Maya can provoke, Soul I would probably move down, Ras can, he's got that dual attack, and that's the only reason I look at Ras, and I'm like, man, you're cool, because you dual attack with things. But that's really all he does. And then Hazel's just a healer. That's just not as good as Acades on defense, I think. And then going down the C, like, it might trigger some people that I have Bale and Cezanne down here, but you guys got to look at, like, yeah, he's a good debuffer. But you're defense breaking on top of a healed block and a speed debuff. Why? If you defense break something, don't you want to kill it? Why are you even going to give it a chance to heal anyways? So heal block is bad. Doesn't really do much. I mean, speed down's great and everything. Like, they're good debuffs. I'm not downplaying the debuffs. I just don't see the synergy with a defense break. They don't do what attack down and hit down does for you. So, I don't know. Like, I'm just not on the Bale hype train. And I used him early game, so. And then Araminta is freaking walking dumpster fire. So, it's whatever. And then you got Hayes who really, like, none of these units are useful on defense at all. Like, and poor Tamarin over here. Like, you're so good everywhere except for on defense. And then Judith I would probably put a lot higher than a lot of the things on here. But she's still chilling in here in D because I completely forgot about her. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Remember, Lilius is up there on top. I don't know, she didn't want to come to work today. But I guess that's going to be it. Fire, I didn't like doing this one, I'll be honest. I like green and I like blue, but fire is just a pain in the ass because it's not good. Unfortunately. It still needs some work. And it's crazy. The reason why 6 units aren't in here is because Lidica was in there. I just didn't see her. But I already recorded my thoughts on her beforehand. I could have went and retook the screenshots and slid her up here and shit, but who cares? It's Lidica. So there's 5 units that are missing. Is because 5 recent units that came out are fire. So they're trying to help fire out, but they definitely did it with Lilius. Lilius is great. But Melissa, she's not great. Kawana's pretty good. But I don't think she does what Fire needs to do at this point. Fire needs a way to not get shit on by SSB. Lilius does that to an extent. Like, the rest of her kit kind of makes up for it. And she's more of a support. She's a support that can do damage. That's why she's sick. If you didn't pull Lilius, rip. But I'm not going to drag this on too long. This is probably already long as shit. I don't know if light and dark are going to be together or if I'll do them separate. I guess we'll just have to see. But stay tuned for the next one. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell if you want to know when the next one comes up, and have a good one. Peace.